Let's get into it with a look at Woolworths. Now, Woolworths is a combination of a food and clothing retailer. It's got a number of large and small outlets across the country. It was initially modelled on Marks and Spencer's of the United Kingdom. The interim earnings to December 2011 were up by 34.6%. It has a market cap of 40 billion rand and a price to earnings ratio of 20. Philip, firstly, let's just get your view on the overall retail sector right now, because you're looking at the latest retail sales figures showing 7.2% growth in February. That was year on year, but a moderation in terms of the month-on-month growth. And many saying that going forward into the second half, we are going to see the slowing trend coming to the fore. What are your thoughts on how this is going to impact the likes of Woolworths?
Yes, Samantha, it's been a hot sector, and share prices will run well. You're right. There's a concern that there's going to be some cooling off, but we would argue that you've got to look at the sector broken up into the different sectors of the population. I think on the lower end, you're seeing quite a lot of wage inflation at the lower end, and also government grants, which I think is fueling things. And you're also seeing a very low interest rate environment, which we think is going to be the case for quite some time still to come. So I think there's still some growth left in the sector. As we look at Woolies, Woolies obviously your private label share, your share that's mainly in the private label sector. It differentiates itself because it's in food and in clothing, but also some homeware as well. It's a company that we like a lot. The clothing side has been a problem for them. The food has been growing the best out of all. It's been quite innovative. It hit the food court market a lot earlier than I believe Pick n Pay is looking to do a similar thing today. So it's been an innovative company, and certainly that's reflected in the share price. And it's a company that we think still has a lot of growth. It's going into new areas as well. They're about to open their largest format store. They're going into a supermarket format. The new Nickelway shopping centre will be the first, and it'll be very interesting to see. They're really going straight after Pick n Pay in that area, and it's interesting to see Pick n Pay try and defend that now.
It's tough to talk about Woolworths and not talk about the food space. So let's quickly have a look at that right now, because the latest news is that BP is looking to roll out 120 stores through Engen. What impact is that going to have on Woolworths, who's had, of course, the first mover advantage? And that's with BP. So it's Pick n Pay and BP,
Pick n Pay, BP,
Engen, Woolworths, yeah.
And as you know, they don't make any money from pumping fuel. They only make it from the in-store sales. Look, Phil's right. So they did that a lot earlier. They've also got that intermediate-sized food store, which they had out with franchises, which they've now brought in. So there's a lot to like there. I don't think necessarily there's too much to worry about, because this is a competitive sector. Everybody's always competing with everyone else. I think the bigger issues around valuation are about, can they continue to execute, and where is the retail sector going? I'm not anxious at all about the retail sector and the retail sector growth, because we have 50 million people in this country, and plenty of them still need to do quite a lot more shopping. Credit extension does look fairly positive again, so everybody thought it was dead and finished a couple of years ago. And as Phil says, in the middle income category, there are lots of people that are employed by the state in this country, most of whom are still experiencing solid wage growth and all the rest of it. So I'm not too anxious about the forward multiples, particularly because those are the kind of forward multiples that people pay for quality retailers around the world, whether it's in Europe or in developing countries like Mexico and Indonesia and China and all the rest of them.
Okay, so let's look at the clothing side of the business, because as you say, not growing as fast as what we're seeing on the food side, but also Country Road has been a bit of a problem, especially Country Road Australia, and that weaker rand during the last period was obviously a boost to them. But what about the growth that we're seeing, the slow relative growth on that side of the business?
On the Country Road side?
On the Country Road side, and then overall in the clothing side.
Look, the Country Road side hasn't been a success for them. I see they've now got 2 stores in South Africa as well, branded stores. Back to the South African clothing side, we definitely see an improvement in that business. I think they're getting their sales mix is better. There's been
their margins have also improved on
absolutely.
That side,
There's been quite a jump in the margins, and so I think it all bodes quite well. I think the clothing side has definitely got the potential to pick up and to definitely drive earnings growth going forward.
Of course, you mentioned the price earnings ratio that we're looking at right now. Expensive. The stock has rallied, almost 70% in the past year. If you had gone in at the beginning of the year, it's rallied 26%. So right now, would you be buying a Woolworths, hot or not?
Yeah, I can't say not to this stock. I think it's a hot stock, but you're very right. The forward P is 20 times. So in the very short term, I think there's potential for it to come down. I see obviously everything was off a little bit today, but longer term, definitely a hot stock.
Hot stock, hot for you?
Yeah, I like the new CEO, Ian Moyer, came in with UK-based experience, so they've made the transition quite well. But I think all of these companies we're going to talk about tonight are well run and they've got scope to go further. It is hot, but for me, not the hottest of the sector, but I'm happy to give it the hot thumbs up right now.
I'm feeling like you're sitting on the side of the bulls with regards to the retailers tonight.